Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I started to introduce her before, but this time I'm going to do a proper introduction. Amberly Lago is somebody who was introduced to me recently when I was looking for a person who had true grit and resilience, and she represents all the above. She's a health and wellness coach. She's a TEDx speaker. She has written the book on true grit and grace. She's been featured on the Doctors, Hallmark, Shape. She's been in disability magazines because she has an amazing story that she has come back from, and you're going to want to get to know her and learn from her as well. And with no further ado, thank you, Amberly, for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. I'm so pumped up after listening to Raymond. I'm going to get some coaching.
Awesome. That is wonderful. So we're going to jump in. You know, one of the things that was great when I just got to talk to you for the first time was hearing your story. And you have reinvented yourself. And I think that right now, the reason why that was so attractive to me and I wanted you to be here is there's a lot of people that have been displaced, whether they went on furlough, something happened, there's not going to be a job, or they're in transition. They're going to have to reinvent themselves. And you did it in such a big way, and it wasn't because of a pandemic. It was because of life circumstances. So can you just share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I completely reinvented myself after I was hit by an SUV. And, I had a fitness career and business. I had trainers that worked for me. I'd been in the fitness industry for 23 years. And suddenly I was in a hospital bed and they were telling me they were going to amputate my leg. I had a 1% chance of saving my leg. And after 34 surgeries, they saved it. But then I was also diagnosed with a nerve disease, which leaves me in constant chronic pain. Well, all the medical procedures, everything, were millions of dollars. Thank goodness we had good insurance, but a lot of things weren't covered, and I was the breadwinner of the family, and suddenly we didn't have my income. And so I feel like, a lot of people are going through some scary times right now, or maybe they've lost their job, or maybe they can't do what they used to do. And that's what I was going through. And so I really did have to reinvent myself and figure out how I could still, my passion is seeing people grow and helping them really see their dreams come true. And so I thought, how can I still do that even though I'm stuck in a hospital bed? And so I really was grateful for them saving my leg, that I had the ability, that I was alive. And so one of the things that really helped me in the beginning was by being of service, because that gave me purpose. And, there may be a lot of people that are saying, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what to do or what steps to take. And I really think if you look at whatever it is that you have overcome, whether it's a pain or a trauma or some kind of a tragedy, and you've turned it into a triumph, and you really combine that with your passion and your skill set, that gives you a purpose. And so from that, you're able to look and think outside the box to reinvent and do things. And I love what Raymond said about the book, because really it isn't about, I wrote my book not to make money. And I remember when I hired a publicist, she was like, I basically begged this publicist to take me on. And she said, well, I don't know if I can make you a New York Times bestseller. And I was like, oh, wow, I hadn't even thought of that. I just wanted to touch one person's life. I just wanted to really turn my pain into purpose. And so that book was a very expensive business card, but it has opened so many doors for me, and it's led me to a community of people where I have meaningful connections, and that's been the best part of the journey.
That's awesome. And you didn't just touch one person. Looking at you now, people might not realize that you became an influencer on Instagram. What do you have, 66,000 followers now?
I don't know. It's crazy. I just, when I started out with my book, my publisher said, we don't do any marketing for you. We basically print your book. It's up to you. If you want to sell your book, you need to create a website and you need to brand yourself. Well, I didn't even own a computer. I'm going to be real with you here. I was so technically challenged. I didn't even own a computer. I hand wrote my entire book and then had bought a computer to type it up. And I did not know how to work Instagram. I had about 150 followers that were all basically family and some friends. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to be serious about this, I need to start sharing my story. And I think what I did was I just really every day spent time on there being my authentic self. I didn't try to be like anyone else except for be myself. And I think that's key, is just to really authentically share. And you connect with people that way. But it was a lot of time. People say, well, how did you build your following? I mean, it's crazy that I have had, I spoke at this conference and we got on stage and I gave away a gratitude journal. And the guy that spoke right after me gave away $1 million home. And so afterwards I was like, oh, way to one up me on that. And we were kidding. And he contacted me the next day and he said, I would really love to hire whoever did your branding and built your platform for you. And I was like, oh no, that was me. And he goes, that was you? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I'd like to hire you. And I said, but I really don't know what I'm doing. He goes, no, but that's just the thing. You didn't know what you're doing, but you've been able to build this platform. And I think the secret to that is I genuinely care about the people that I connect with. So I listen to my audience, and and instead of talking about a million things, I really stay true to what my message is and how to build resilience. And so people that, are maybe struggling with whether it's an emotional, mental, physical challenge, and I can give them the tools, it's really providing that value.
That's awesome. And when you talk about the followers and being an influencer, and he asked, how did you do that? What was the time frame in building from when you started to where you are now?
Okay. For the first year, from the beginning where I wrote my book and I got a publishing deal, I had a year. It takes about a year to get before your book is released. And so from a year, and I was really aiming to get 10,000 followers on Instagram. And the reason for that is because when you have 10,000 plus followers, you can do a swipe up in your story. So it's easier to share in your story, then people can swipe up and go straight to buy your book or straight to get the information for an event or whatever it may be.
So a swipe up is the ability to buy something.
It gives you a little bit more access. So when somebody sees something in your story, you can go swipe up and the link, everything's right there. So it's just one more way to connect and get people directly to your product. And so that first year, I was able to build my following to 10,000. And I worked with someone that I'm coaching, and they said, oh yeah, well, as soon as I can hire somebody to do that. And I was like, no, you need to do it. People need to hear your voice. They need to see you. You need to build a rapport with your followers. And also, and I even feel weird saying followers, because to me, they're friends. Like, I've built some meaningful connections on Instagram and been able to, across the country for my book signings. I sold out at every single book signing, even at Books and Books in Miami. They said, we have had famous politicians, we've had movie stars that have come to our store. We've never had anyone sell out the way you sold out. And that is all because of social media. And it used to drive my husband crazy because he thought I was just messing around. And I'm like, no, I'm building a brand. And so I spent hours a day. You can look at your insights and see how much time that you're spending on a platform. And I really chose Instagram because that's kind of where I got the most traction. But I think it's really important to be on LinkedIn, be on Facebook. And now I'm even on TikTok, only because my daughter told me I was too old to be on there. But I think it's important to go across all platforms when you're trying to really get your name and your product and build your brand.
And you're such an inspiration for so many people, like coming from the exercise and fitness, going into helping people through resilience and grit and getting to be where they are. I know there's a difference between micro and macro influencers. Which are you, and can you explain the difference to people?
Well, it's so crazy because I don't know what the numbers are for micro and macro. Like, I don't know. Everything's in perspective, I feel like, for me. So when I used to go speak at events when I was first starting, like one of my biggest speaking jobs, I was so nervous. I was terrified because I was sharing the stage with Mel Robbins and Brendan Burchard and Jay Shetty and Lewis Howes, and then there was me. And so at the time, I only had like 27,000 followers, and they had millions. And so I felt very micro. I felt really small. And I think sometimes when you have people that they want you to sell their product through Instagram, I'm very particular. I have to make sure that the brand really aligns with what my message is, because I don't like just selling anything to my followers. It's taken so much time to really build that trust. And so really a micro influencer is someone that's small, but they have a community of engaged followers that they trust who speaking. And so like I had a company that wanted me to try a product for pain. And I said, look, I have a lot of people that follow me for pain because I talk about, ways to heal and get over and live a life of joy despite chronic pain. I thought, I will try your product, but if it doesn't work, I can't just say it works to my audience, because they are so important to me.
Right. So integrity is my number one value as well. And a lot of people don't realize that there is a business in being an influencer. And what that is that you can actually, and I actually wrote a book, Brand You, Become the Expert. And I have this young woman who's a friend of mine who makes a 6-figure income being an influencer, where anywhere she goes, things she wears, things she does, if there's a link attached to it, she benefits. And
it blows me away. I do have one product right now, and I'm always shocked when I get that check in PayPal, deposited in PayPal, because it's a product that I advertise and people can get it a discount through me. And so it's amazing. And I remember the first time I got paid to advertise even on my podcast, and I was like, oh my goodness, people are sponsoring my podcast. It's amazing. And that takes time. I feel like that takes time, and it takes, it's taken me about 3 years of really persevering and doing it's every day. When you're an entrepreneur, it's every day. And there's some long hours, but when you're passionate about what you do, I have to usually go, okay, Amberly, stop working. You need to stop working, because I love it so much. And so I think when you're passionate about it, it doesn't feel like work.
Well, you're an inspiration of what's possible. I have a personal girlfriend who happens to be a blogger, and she makes 7 figures blogging. And what people don't realize that makes it so important, and you said it, is content. Is when you give people what they want, when you're giving them content and there's value and there's connection, and they feel like they're there for a reason and they're getting something from that relationship, then it's a give, ask. It's not a sale. It's more of a serving of a community, which is what you've created.
Yeah. And yes, for sure, I agree with that about giving. It was like from when I started my platform, and I gave for a year. I wrote blogs, I did giveaways, I did so much giving until it came time to sell the book. And I was like, here's the book, and to my surprise, it became a bestseller. And I think the only reason it was a bestseller, because I had the opportunity to go on the Today Show and be interviewed with Megyn Kelly. And that was just a dream come true, and enabled me to be in contact with so many people that reached out to me after that. And so, like Raymond said, I think it is just, it opens doors for you, where, you know, if I'd never written a book, I never would have had the opportunity to get my message out there and be on these talk shows and bring awareness to CRPS and give people inspiration.
So, you know, right now with people in the situation with pivoting, reinventing themselves, starting businesses, knowing what you know now, what would be some advice you'd give to people to get started and to get themselves visible?
I would really say, look at what is your why? Like what is, figure out what your purpose is and focus on your why. And I think you said something earlier about to do with, when you know your why and focus on that, you can get through almost any how. Mm-hmm. And that really is something, no matter what I'm doing. I remember one time I was going to give my first presentation and I was so nervous, and I called my dad and I said, I'm about to go speak in front of a bunch of lawyers, real estate and investors. And I'm so nervous. And he said, well, Amberly, this isn't about you. This is about who you're serving. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh yeah. And so I always think about that when I'm getting all caught up with being nervous about something. I think, well, wait a minute, this isn't about me. This is about who I serve and how can I offer them tools to be resilient. And so I really think that if you look deep about and figure out what are you passionate about and what is your skill set, and go from there. And really, I think it's so important to have a coach or a mentor, have people to help you. You know, I would not be where I am today if I didn't have good mentors, coaches, and friends that help me along the way, because I don't think we're meant to do it alone. I think that we are stronger together. So I would really suggest reaching out, start your own little support group. I have something called the God Squad, and it's my girlfriends. And whenever we're going through something, we just reach out to one another. So I think it's really important to hire someone or get a mentor to help you through those hard times.
Yes. It seems to be a theme here. We've been talking about asking for help. You don't have to do it alone. You know, that you can take a road, you don't have to take the road less traveled. You can find someone who's already done it and let them help you get there, which is so important. As far as a giveaway or something that you'd like to share with our listeners, what would be something I know you have a special offer for them?
Yes, yeah. Well, I think that we're all going through change and either pivoting or reinventing ourselves. And so I created something special just for everyone here today, and it's called How to Get Through Anything and Thrive. And it's basically a workbook that gives you a step-by-step strategy to get through any challenges. And I go over my PACER method, which stands for perspective, acceptance, community, endurance, and rest. And it's all in the workbook. And also, if they go to amberlylago.com, they can get a free downloadable gratitude journal, because I stay grounded by being in gratitude. And I'm so grateful for you, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me be a part of this amazing event. It's been so incredible watching.
Thank you. And I want one more thing is, I know you're going to be staying for our Entrepreneurs Thriving Challenge, Challenge the Thriving Challenge. My tongue twisters I create, and then I wonder why. But for the Thriving Entrepreneurs Playbook, what's one last piece of advice you'd like to share?
I would say stay true to yourself, and it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter if you feel like you're too late. It doesn't matter how young you are. You can go after your dreams. Anything is possible if you just stay connected to your heart and follow your passion. And hope is available and change is possible. And I truly believe that anybody that is listening here today, this is your sign to go after that dream. Stop waiting. Just go after those dreams. And I'm here to support you along the way. So anybody can reach out to me too.
Awesome. And the link I have is like a MailChimp link. Is that right? That I'm going to share? I want to make it go live. Okay. So I'm going to go live and put it in the chat for everybody.
Thank
So
you.
that it's there. And follow her on Instagram. Of course, we said she's now on TikTok making these fancy dances very fun. And here's a takeaway as well, Amberly. You know, I think a lot of times people, like, we don't, when you say your purpose, and we've been talking about that in your why, at the beginning when things happen, we don't know why it happens. And then we find out. But it's sometimes the things we need to grow through, to work through, so that we can be who we are today, so you can be a leader for so many people and give them that hope that they too can reinvent themselves and have that true grit. So thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait for you to come back and bring your wisdom to our entrepreneur and support them as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so this has been great, and I am so excited as we continue down this road of greatness and what's available to you. You know, you think about different opportunities out there, and sometimes adversity comes and you think, oh, because this happened, my whole life is over. And it just brings me to kind of why this summit even started is, you know, my husband and I feel very blessed in who we are and what we have, but I'll let you know that we didn't always have it this way. We went through more adversity than most people will do in a lifetime. We went through in a couple of years, from going from prosperity to desperation to losing everything to having to start over only 17 years ago, where we were $500,000 in debt and looking to figure out what are we going to do to get out of this. Going from millionaires to paupers and then back to being successful again. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are there, a lot of people that don't know what to do and need someone who can who's walked the path. You heard before Serpa, someone who's walked the path before and can take you along. And I think that that's really what we have the privilege of having with this amazing group of speakers, are people who have walked the path and aren't just speaking from a book smart, but from real knowledge, real information that has made the difference of who they are and what they do. And I'm going to continue on that realm, and you're going to meet more of my amazing friends and influencers that I'm blessed to be able to know and have them in my life. And continue, write down what was some of your takeaways. Post on Facebook, LinkedIn. We're looking for it. Take pictures of you with the stuff when we're there and we have the speaker. Make sure you hashtag Amberly Lago, Lisa Lieberman-Wang, and also Help Businesses Thrive. And we're going to be looking for you, and we have more prizes we'll be giving away. So we can't wait to give it to you and help you thrive in these times and the future as well.